All righty, so welcome back, everybody, and we're ready for another class. So, yeah, I've had a couple really busy weeks, but anyhow, we're here. I am super, super, super happy. I want to start this session off reading something from Daily Om, and it really kind of hits the chord on worthiness. And so thank you, Daily Om. So worthiness, our worth is being on the planet at this time, and it cannot be judged as we are all worthy and essential to being here now. The issue of worthiness may come up in many areas of our lives as we ask, often unconsciously, whether we are worthy of success, love, happiness, and countless other things, from supporting relationships to a beautiful home. In the end, though, it all comes down to one thing: our willingness to claim our space in this life as humans on this planet at this time. When we accept our divinity, we no longer question whether we are worthy, because we know that we are meant to be here to fulfill a particular purpose, a purpose that no one other than us can fulfill. There are no replacements who can take over and live our lives for us. No other person who has had the experiences we have had, who has the access to the same resources and relationships, who carries the same message to share with the world. Our purpose may be large or small, and in most cases it is multi-leveled, with important actions taking place on the interpersonal level as well as in terms of the work we do in the world. Small acts of kindness share the stage with large acts of sacrifice, and only through accepting and honoring our divinity can we know what we are called to do and when. Ultimately, we are all equally, exactly, completely worthy of being here in this life. Moreover, we are all essential to the unfolding plan of which we are, each one small but important part. If we suffer from low self-worth, it is because we have lost track of understanding this truth and allowing it to guide our actions in the world. Seeing ourselves as part of something larger, as being called to serve, is the ultimate cure for feeling of unworthiness. In the end, it's not about evaluating ourselves as worthy or unworthy so much as it's about accepting that we have been called here to serve and taking the steps required to listen and respond to what our lives are asking us to do. I am going to share my screen now. Okay. All right. And so the other little thing that I want to start with today is I received a very, very beautiful question. And so I'm going to read it here. I have a question. It is always my intention to go to the barn with what I have been calling low or calm energy, i.e., not bringing the day's stresses or challenges along. In theory, though, am I correct in saying that I actually should be striving for a high energetic frequency? And if so, is that equivalent to a calm state of being? And this is such a beautiful question because it really, it's really a question that a lot of people have that don't ask. And so I'm thrilled to be able to answer this question. So taking the time to get yourself into a calm state where you have removed all of the stresses from today and you're not packing anything forward. You're just going there and being in that moment. So I want to talk just a little bit about that. So when we want to get into being in the present moment, that means existing here, now, in this second. That state is always exactly what it should be. And that's the state that we want to strive for, not so much trying to have the calm energy. Removing the stresses and parts of your day, that's a great plan, really great plan, because that means if you're feeling any of those, you're packing stuff forward. Our goal is to learn how to let go of the things as they happen and move and keep ourselves open so we move to the next thing and we don't pack or carry. And to explain this a little bit better, it's not that I don't pay attention to everything that happened in the day. It's just I choose not to hold it. So at the end of the day, I do this all of the time. I lay in bed and I recount my day. I recount what happened in my day, how it made me feel. I look at things. I ask whether or not what was my part in this? How could I change this? How could I have been better? And as I'm doing all of these things, I'm doing them with no judgment. It's just merely about looking, recalling, checking in with my feelings, checking in to see what may still be lingering there that I'm going to want to address, to remove. And so as I look at all of these things, that's where I get a chance to grow and I get a chance to look at things in a different light. And I really get to know me better as well. And so this process, like I'm talking about, I want to really stress it is not about any judgment at all, no judgment, merely checking in. And so sometimes I recall an entire conversation and then I really pay attention to see if there is something that I missed, that I should have been saying, that I didn't say. Did I miss some other feeling? And so it's really an opportunity, like I said, to really kind of go over and start thinking about, well, okay, how's this working? Is this working how I wanted it to work? Could I change some things? And when I have everything sorted, I go to sleep. And I sleep really well because I'm not packing anything forward. And that's really, really important, not to pack things forward. So getting yourself into a calm energy state is just the first part. Because from there, now we want to get ourselves into the present moment, not 1/10 of a second before and not a 1/10 of a second ahead. So that means when we are entering a space, we have no anticipation or thoughts about what's going to come, and we're not packing anything forward from the past. We are just fully here, fully present, fully in this moment. And why that's so important is because if we are anticipating, then we're not open to what we're actually receiving, because we already have an idea of what it is that's going to happen. And we don't want to do that to ourselves. And if we are worried about what happened last time and packing that forward, we're going to have that signature in our energy, and there's a good chance we're going to recreate the exact same thing. So being here, being now, being fully present is where we want to go. Now, raising our vibrational energy, that's the next component that I want to address, because now that we're fully present, fully in this moment, now is when we do have the best opportunity for increasing our energetic frequency. And when we increase our energetic frequency, everything is going to be so much better. Because the higher frequency that we vibrate at, the higher the frequency that we attract, and everything, humans included, want to come into our space. So our ability to connect and feel and experience goes up exponentially. So now, to raise our energetic frequency, so we can do this many, many, many ways. And, like we talked about last session, our food choices are really important. Drinking a coffee before we want to have a connection is probably the worst thing that you can do for yourself. Drinking alcohol. So we want to have a clear intent about our food choices. We want to have a clear intent about our beautifulness and the amazingness that we bring to this world. We really want to be carrying that. Now, we can use essential oils to help raise our frequency. We can listen to binaural beat or solfeggio frequencies to help raise our frequencies. And once we start learning and feeling how it feels when our vibrational energy is high, then we can start to manifest that increase in vibrational frequencies ourselves, because now we are just recalling and recreating that same feeling. But in the beginning, you're going to want to use different tools to help you get there and help you feel what it feels like to be there. And so another way to describe this is, so let's say you read something, and as you're reading it, you notice that you just start feeling really good, and you don't want to put it down. And it just creates that spring in your step. It creates that you look around and you got the world by the tail feeling. And everywhere you look, it's grand. It doesn't matter what's going on. Now, that is an increase in your vibrational energy. And that will naturally draw everything to you, and everything will want to be in your space. And so, on that same note, clearing our chakras is another way that we can really increase our vibrational frequency. And so here I have put together, from Sacred Science. All right. Okay. As it loads. All right. And so Nick here has pulled together ancient art of chakra bathing. And so there are our 7 chakras. And so in order for us to have the highest frequency, we can't have any blockages like we talked about last class. So we have to ensure that we're open and we have flow. And so in this practice, he has set up a way that we can start clearing. So they call it giving my chakras a bath. So cleansing out the stagnant energies and keeping them open. And so here is a 7-day chakra bathing ritual that you're able to try at home. And so I'm going to scroll through this slowly so that you can stop and pause and take screenshots, do whatever you need to do so that you can print this out and then you can make it yours, or just rewatch this section of the video as often as you would like. And so 7 days, because each day you're going to choose a different chakra. And so the first thing that you do on day 1, you're going to choose what chakra you would like to cleanse. And then you're going to prepare your space and away we go. Okay. Then you're going to run a warm bath, shower, and make that just beautiful. Something that you just want to step into and you can't wait. So whatever that is that you need to do, whether that's sprinkling rose petals in that water or having candles or having the most beautiful music that's going to raise your frequency. So creating your sacred space is something you get to do for you. And you want to create something that when you walk into there and the smells, the aroma, just make you feel like you went to heaven. So take the time to figure this out. Take the time to create this space for you. Now you're going to add Epsom salts to your bath because those are really important. We need them and they help pull material from us. Okay, and so then our healing elements, essential oils, different herbs, crystals, or items, the same color associated with the chakra. Okay, so then you take some easy breaths and continue on. You activate your chakra. We're going to get there. And you locate the sound that is associated with the particular chakra. And so we're going to get there. Meditate. You're going to focus on that chakra. Visualize where it's located within your own body and see if you can sense it. Bathe it not only in water and sound, but also in your own loving, nurturing energy. And use the affirmations that they've included. Okay, don't hurry. Take as much time as you need. Be really kind, be really gentle. Okay, and so now they've broken them down into one by one. So the root chakra is associated with basic needs and survival, belonging, and tribe. When imbalanced, you may experience insecurity, eating disorders, whether that's over or under, paranoia, aggression, depression, lethargy, negativity, cynicism, greed, slipping back into survival mode, even when surrounded by abundance. Located at the very base of the spine, the root chakra corresponds with the perineum, along with the first three vertebrae of the pelvic plexus. This is perhaps the most important to keep clear, as it is the foundation on which we build our life and impacts our entire sense of being. So color is red. Related organs: kidney, bladder, adrenals, hips, vertebral column. The mantra, L-A-M, lamb, pronounced lamb. Your affirmation: I am balanced and safe. I trust myself and am grounded. Your essential oils and herbs: patchouli, cinnamon, lavender, and bergamot. Your crystals: garnet, black tourmaline, onyx, and smoky quartz. And so then we have the sacral chakra. Now that's residing just above the genitals. The sacral chakra helps us to connect to the physical world and enjoy its pleasures in all forms. This is the center of creativity, self-love, and sensuality. And when out of balance, can lead to greed, addiction, frustration, compulsion, sexual repression, depression, self-deprivation, and apathy. The color is orange. The related organs: sex organs, uterus, prostate, large bowels. The mantra, VAM, pronounced VAM. Now the affirmation: my feelings are healthy. I am strong and creative. I love myself. Your essential oils and herbs: jasmine, sandalwood, orange, and ylang ylang. Your crystals are carnelian, orange fire agate. And so you're going to notice with all of the mantras, they all create vibration. So at the same time, you are totally stimulating your vagus nerve. So this is, kind of works on multi-levels. Your solar plexus chakra, as I just go back here a little bit. Okay. This energy center is all about action, and it's located just above your navel. This is the power center. And when energy gets stuck here, people can experience loss or abuse of their power. When in balance, you'll feel a strong sense of motivation and direction, and will have a greater ability to trust your gut feelings. An imbalance here can lead to sarcasm, pessimism, subjectivity, bossiness, overly analytical or dictatorial personality, abuse of authority, abrasiveness, naive passiveness, being wishy-washy, fatigue, becoming oblivious, and feeling inferior. The color is yellow. Related organs are liver, stomach, spleen, and small intestine. The mantra for this one is RAM, pronounced RAM. The affirmation is, I accept myself completely and am receptive to divine energy. I accept my responsibilities and am guided and receptive to divine will at all times. Your essential oils and herbs: rosemary, lemon, and cypress. And the crystals are citrine. And we have the heart chakra. It's where we hold the vibration of love, compassion, tenderness, patience, connection, forgiveness, generosity, and kindness. This energy center is located right in the center of your heart. When out of balance, we experience the opposite of these vibrations, such as impatience, bitterness, resentment, cruelty, loneliness and isolation, jealousy, possessiveness, and suspicion. This fourth chakra is a sort of transition between your lower and higher chakras, between survival and thrival. Color, green, and the related organs are your heart. And the mantra for this is YAM, and it's pronounced YAM. The affirmations are, I am loved. I love myself. Everything I do with love. I am receptive and open to receiving love. I forgive others and forgive myself. May the abundance of the universe pour divine love into my heart. Your essential oils and herbs: geranium, bergamot, and neroli. Your crystals: green tourmaline, green garnet, and rose quartz. And from here, we move to the throat chakra. Just go around a bit here. All right. Okay, so the throat chakra. It's located in your throat, near the place where people sometimes feel a lump in their throat when they get choked up. When not directly adjacent to the power center in your solar plexus, this is often where power is expressed. Perhaps you're beginning to see how these systems work together, and when one area becomes imbalanced, it can lead to imbalances up the energy chain. Through our speaking, by passing these vibrations through our throat chakras, we are calling things into being. We are creating our world. So if our sacral chakras are imbalanced and we're creating with an over or underactive throat chakra, we can be manifesting exactly what we don't want. An imbalance here could lead someone to experience self-righteousness, infidelity, negative self-talk, repression of self-expression, being overly critical, destruction with words, confusion, and disorientation. The color, turquoise blue. Related organs: thyroid, lungs, upper digestive tract. The mantra, HAM, ham, pronounced ah. The affirmation, I am learning and growing. I receive and express clear communication. The essential oils and herbs: lavender, Roman chamomile, and peppermint. Your crystals are aquamarine, turquoise, sodalite, lapis lazuli, and angelite. And then we move on to the third eye chakra. The sixth chakra is the center of intuition and intellectual enlightenment, located right between your eyebrows. When in balance, you experience peace regardless of the world around you. When in balance, people can experience narrow-mindedness, self-absorption, lack of imagination, insensitivity, headaches, a scattered mind, and impaired vision. The color is indigo. And the related organs are eyes, sinuses, and the lower head. Mantra can be pronounced two different ways. So the mantra is Om, and so you can say it like Ao or Oh. Affirmations for that one are I am wise. I see. Your essential oils and herbs are lavender, clary sage, and marjoram. Your crystals are amethyst and quartz. Then we move right on to the crown chakra. So once you've nurtured your 6 other chakras and the energy is flowing, you are likely feeling a great sense of peace, purpose, and flow. The crown chakra is located at the top, the crown of your head, and is the center for your spiritual awakening, wisdom, and enlightenment. When out of balance, people can experience depression, schizophrenia, feelings of superiority, lack of contact with reality, and lack of concern for others. The color is purple. Now, the related organs, brain and the pineal gland. Now, the mantra, again, is the same as above. So you, and it's pronounced or oh. Your affirmation is I am filled with greatness and am connected to the divine wisdom of the universe. I trust my higher self. Your essential oils and herbs are frankincense, myrrh, and cedarwood, and your crystals are quartz. And so you have a 7-day chakra cleansing. And so that completes my answer to the question about, how to have the highest vibration and the calm energy and how that kind of all ties together, and ultimately why you want to have the highest frequency and be existing fully and completely in the present moment, not with anticipation of what's to come and not packing any of the stuff from behind. So just here, just now, fully open, fully receptive, fully curious, grounded, and open and ready to find your purpose and feel your purpose and allow that intuitiveness to move you where you need to go. Now we're ready to move forward. Okay, so here we are. Now we're moving into predator versus prey. And so the first question that we need to ask ourselves all the time is, what is a predator? Because a predator can mean many different things. We need to ask ourselves, what is a prey animal? Because that as well can mean many, many different things. So we need to have these questions in the back of our head. And then we need to ask ourselves, have predator and prey evolved to coexist? So as we're busy thinking, we need to be having all of these thoughts rolling around in our head. Many, many, many of the training theories, that exist today are based on the premise of predator-prey relationships. And so we need to really kind of start thinking along these lines. And so if we look at a predator as something that has eyes in the front of its head, well, then that makes us a predator. If we think of a prey animal as something that has eyes on the side of their head, then that makes them a prey animal. And so as we start to really start to think about each one of these, we're going to come to the realization that at any given time, a prey animal could become a predator, just like a predator could become a prey animal. It's all in our perception. It's all how we're going to look at this. And predators will have different types of behaviors at different times than a prey animal. But ultimately, at any time, a prey animal can also become a predator. Now, they may not exist like that for a long period of time, but they certainly have the potential to get the hate on for something and get the mindset that they're going to destroy it, eat it, kill it, whatever. So it's not quite as cut and dried. Everything about our posture, our intent, our movement can all be interpreted as predator-like. Or we could change things up totally, and those same things could be interpreted more as a prey animal. So this really requires you to figure out how you are expressing yourself. What are you bringing to the table? What is your movement suggesting? What, yeah. How are you being interpreted? Because totally, yeah. And so have predator and prey evolved to coexist? Absolutely. It's how we get through life. It's how we do everything. And we change hats. We do a lot of things that are different. And so really important, really important to, after this class, to sit down and take some time to really think about how this pertains to you and how you bring these into your lives. And in your day-to-day life, what parts are you predator like, and what parts are you prey like? And yeah, you really start to think about this, and then start looking outside of yourself and looking at the world around you and thinking about how other humans and other creatures go about doing the same. Like, how does that all work? And, you know, in any given moment, are you a predator? Why or not? Why or not, right? Like, and so, of course, you know, we have the big definition of prey, an animal that is hunted and killed by another for food. So hunt or kill for food. Predator, an animal that naturally preys on others, a person or group that ruthlessly exploits others. And so when you start even looking at the definition, well, there's a lot of prey animals, like a deer or a horse, that will eat baby chicks. So in that instance, they are behaving more like a predator. And so you see how this can flop around. Not quite as cut and dried as a lot of times people would like to make this to be. And so it's really about the behavior in that moment. And, you know, going back to the asking yourself your questions, what am I doing that could make me be? So what's my gait saying? My posture. So predators, when they're in predator mode, their gait either mirrors their cautious approach intent to attack, or they're already in full speed for attack. And how do you know this? Well, because a deer and a wolf can be standing side by side, and the deer is not the least bit concerned because the wolf is not showing changes in gait or the stare or the intent. So therefore, there's no concern. So how you move is really, really, really powerful. Way more than you've probably ever given it any thought. And so how you carry your head on your shoulders, how you carry your shoulders, how you move from your hips, all of these things are really big ticket items. And so when we start asking, are you a predator? I really want you to start going deep and start really feeling about how you move, and then looking around to seeing how that's being interpreted. Your focus intent, when predators, we have our eyes in the front of our head, we get an idea in our head, we get stuck on, there we go with our eyes, and very, very powerful, and it sends a big message. And so we need to really keep hammering it down to ourselves. Okay, how much of a predator am I actually being here? Is that why I'm not getting the desired results? Is this why I'm not getting the connection? Is this why? Start asking these questions. What are we doing with our breathing? Are we unsure of ourselves, so we're holding our breath and unintentionally creating one of the signatures of a predator? Because prior to an attack, a predator breathing gets really slow and still, and sometimes they even hold it just imminent upon the attack. And our eyes, we just talked about those, so like, here's all of these things that you need to start bringing into. Is there congruence to your energy? Like, is it just floating kind of along, or is it like shooting, darting back and forth because you're evaluating something, you're checking something out? Well, all of that creates predator-like things that are picked up. And so I say this all the time, but there's no such thing as half in or half out with horses. Horses function solely in the moment with congruency and honesty. If you want to communicate and have that connection, you must be willing to exist in the exact same moment with the horse. You don't get to be anywhere else. Fully present, fully here, fully now, with the highest vibrational frequency you have, and openness, curiosity. Yeah. So, and here's the thing, horses aren't thinking about what it had for breakfast this morning or what we'll have for breakfast tomorrow. Congruently, because horses are constantly harmonizing with the energy that is present. So when your energy's up here, down here, over here, the horse is going to lose interest. Like, screw this, I'm out of here. Or if your energy's way down here, the horse doesn't want to get dragged down there, so it's going to move off. You need to have something about your presence that makes other humans and horses want to connect. And so that all comes from becoming aware and wearing the hats that you need to wear to be what you need to be moment by moment, so that you're providing that port that all of these things want to connect to. And I'm not saying you sell yourself down the river and be like, I hate these labels, but people call it people pleasers. And I'm not saying that at all, because unless you love yourself and you are super kind to yourself and you look after yourself, you cannot exist with high frequency. So manifesting high frequency energy for yourself requires self-care, self-nurture, self-love. And so don't get the two confused. Now, honestly, because everything that horses present is real and 100% accurate, according to their interpretation of the energy event in that moment. And that's what makes them such powerful mirrors. So they're going to mirror back to you whatever it is that you're handing out to them. Now, remember, every time you are interacting with your horse, if you are not existing in the same moment with your horse, you are probably doing to your horse. And as a result, your horse will not feel safe, seen, heard, felt, or understood. Connection, I can't say this enough, requires everyone involved. You, the horse, you, a fellow human, you, your dog, whatever it is. But both of you need to feel safe, seen, heard, felt, and understood. And only then does connection have the potential to exist. And I'd like that is so, so, so important, because without that, really, there's nothing. I'll go back to talking about, always ask yourself, am I doing with my horse or to my horse? So I'm going to talk about that just for a little bit, because when you run out there with the intent to put the halter on your horse, and your goal is to get the halter on the horse, there's a really good chance you're doing to the horse, because you're on a task. You're task oriented. You are about getting that halter on, because you are thinking about something that you want to accomplish in a forward moment. You are no longer open to receiving what you need to receive in the present moment. There's a really good chance your horse is saying a lot of things and you're missing all of them. And yes, you get the halter on your horse, but now you need to ask yourself, so if my horse was speaking and I missed everything that my horse was saying, did I not just diss my horse? Well, how do I feel when I'm not listened to or heard or understood? Does that make you want to just reach out and hug somebody? Probably not, right? So there goes a chance of connection. So we need to become really, really, really aware of this. The other area, we have to become conscious of the shared energy field. So everything that we're bringing will affect everything all around us. Everything that everything has all around us is going to affect us. We have to become very aware of this, because we have the power to change it. So now let's just say I walk into a room and there's a lot of negative energy in that room from the people that are existing there. So I can feel that impact on my frequency. So now I have a choice. I can leave the room, or I can just start pulling in from the universe and keeping my frequency really, really, really high. I'm not talking about the energy here where I'm laughing and joking and doing all of this kind of stuff, or bustling about or whatever. I'm talking about something that's invisible, your frequency. So I can ask for the divine support. I can just be manifesting this, knowing full well that if I stay in the room, it will be a matter of minutes and things will start changing in the room, because subconsciously everybody in that room will start to want to gravitate and become part of the frequency that I'm emitting. And so in doing so, their body will have to raise the frequency where they're at in order to enter into the shared energy field. And so over, the next 10 minutes, everything's going to be changing in that room. No one may become aware of what's going on, but nonetheless, when I leave that room, I will have left everyone in that space in a better place than when I found them. And that's the power of being able to really get a handle on what it feels like to have high frequency, what it feels like inside of you, and to be able to ask for the divine support when you need it, to keep that frequency as high as you can, because at the end of the day, it's a pretty great feeling to know that everywhere you went, you made a bit of a difference. And really, you didn't have to do anything other than be present. And so, how beautiful is that? And so, that chops along with uh, being mindful and aware of our anatomic body, because, until we develop awareness of the place where we can actually feel what's going on everywhere in our body, it makes it really hard for us to help ourselves. And if we're unable to help ourselves, then we're pretty much unable to help anyone else. So we need to feel where we have blockages. We need to know why we're clearing, what we're doing. And when we call upon help from the divine, we need to know what it feels like that we're actually receiving it and getting that connection and making that connection. Because if we don't know those things, then we're just asking for something with no idea of whether or not we're receiving it. We need to be extremely mindful and aware of fear response. So whenever, talk about this a fair bit, but lack. So lack comes in all sorts of different formats. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. It comes in all sorts of small little things. I'm not a good driver. I'm not a good rider. So we have to be very, very mindful of all of these things, because this lack, and when we have those expressions or those feelings, we will just start attracting more of that. And you've probably got to see this or feel it or whatever, but it's like one thing goes wrong and then something else goes wrong and something else. So it's just like it's raining cats and dogs. Well, you had a part in all of that. And so, yeah, really, really important for us to become mindful. And when we notice something that we could be thinking or feeling that may be interpreted as some sort of lack, we change that. And so I'm a great driver. I ride well. I'm riding to the best of my ability in this moment. I enjoy riding. I love to ride. Whatever we need to do or say to keep us fully in the present moment and push everything else away. Need to be mindful of our hands. Our hands do a lot of things without us even paying attention. So, you know, we can have them shoved in our pockets. We can have them crossed. We can be holding our hands. We can be sitting on our hands. We can be reaching out and touching with our hands, but not paying attention to the energy that we're receiving as we're reaching out to touch. And so often we may be touching when that touch is not being received in the way in which we want to give it. But we missed all of the energy that was coming towards us saying, no, 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 no. We missed it all because we had an intent, and it's about what we wanted. We needed. And so this all plays back into, how often we're doing things to. So whether it's to our horse or a fellow human, instead of with. And connection really only exists when we are with. So existing in the moment, probably something I say very often because it's really, really, really important. And as humans, when I look around, it's really, really hard to find people existing in the moment. So they're sitting at the table in the restaurant and they're having dinner with someone. So are they 100% focused with the other person, with the conversation that's being had? No. They're thinking about when the food's going to get there. They're thinking about what they're going to do when they leave the restaurant. They're thinking about the message that they just got on their phone. They're thinking about the noise or what's going on in the restaurant. They're thinking about what they're wearing. You name it. They're not 100% there. And so that's what makes life mundane. That's what makes life boring. That's what makes life not exciting. When you exist solely in the moment, let me tell you, that moment is magical. It's stuff that you read about in books and magazines and whatever, because when you're existing in that moment, there's connection. And that connection's felt deep down into your soul, and it doesn't get any better than that. really want you to think about existing in the moment and what that really means and what it's going to bring to your life when you get there. Never, ever, ever give away your power. And I see this happen a lot. So you go to a professional, any kind of profession, doesn't matter. But I see this a lot, when you go to a professional for help with your horse. So because you put the professional up on a pedestal, you take what they're saying and doing as gospel, and then you try to emulate what they are telling you to do. Well, that's giving away your power. I never see that end well. So you're going to a professional because you need help or you want help. To keep your power, you must be fully open, fully receptive, and curious, because you need to listen to everything that they're telling you, and you need to see everything that they are showing you. You need to be able to ask the questions, no matter how small or insignificant they may seem, but you need to ask them. And then you need to take everything that you're being fed and find a way to make it your own. If you don't make it your own, you are giving away your power. I can't say that enough. And we've talked about this in, past classes. But everything that you learn, in order for it to become part of your life and something that is going to have meaning and longevity, you need to make it your own. You need to find a way to incorporate that. And so at the end of the day, you are not going to be a little carbon copy of so-and-so. You may have learned a lot from them, but how you put that into practice and play and as part of your life will be yours, because each one of us is unique. Each one of us has gifts. Each one of us has a different way of interacting in the world. Each one of us has different skill sets, and we need to be very, very aware of that. And so I guess the other little thing that I want to talk about was, don't give away your power. And this is one of the things that I see a lot. So a trainer clearly is very confident, is clearly able to ride a horse out when the behavior gets bad. They clearly have a large skill set in their toolbox. And so one of the things they like to tell people is disengage the hind end. So, things start happening, disengage the hind end, turn your horse in a circle. And so then the person leaves, and quite typically they get thrown, very shortly after leaving the trainers. And then, sometimes they hook up with me and like, can you come ride with me? And so one of the very first things that I get to see is, oh, okay. They're anticipating, oh yeah, when I get to this spot, my horse does this, and they're anticipating it way back there. And then their horse does, it starts to get all wound up, and then they start turning it in circles. And because they're focused so much on doing what they were told to do, that's giving away your power, that they're not able to see that these circles are actually winding their horse up like a top. And now their horse is getting wound up. That shared energy is translating to them, getting them wound up. Humans starting getting afraid. The horse is starting to like, I just want to get out of this. But now we're turning in even tighter circles. Well, next thing, the horse bucks or bolts and they go flying on the ground. And that's what I said when I said, I don't often see this ending well. Well, you gave away your power. Now, if you do not have the confidence, the riding capabilities, the awareness, turning these circles as a means to managing your horse's behavior is probably the absolute worst thing you could do for yourself. Because as it escalates, you have no way of knowing how to get yourself out of this mess other than turning the circle tighter. And then you're just creating a worse mess for yourself. And so turning these circles as a way to disengage the hind end, you need to look at this like, alrighty, I can't go to a place where the behavior is going to escalate. I don't have that skill set at this moment in time. I don't have that confidence at this moment in time. So how can I utilize that idea about disengaging the hind end where I can still keep myself open and not get myself trapped into a place where I'm just going to keep trying this harder and harder and harder, not realizing that it's not working. And so that's my biggest example, like, don't give away your power. And so when you don't give away your power, now you're going to be open enough. Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm on a trail, so maybe I'm going to try weaving in and out of some trees. So same kind of thing. I'm going to change things up here. Let's see how I can make this disengaging work for me. And that's where you start to figure out, how can I make this my own? So it's not that the trainers aren't giving you great advice. They are. It's that their skill level is probably way different than yours. And so you need to find a way to mesh that knowledge with where you're at. And that brings us to always work with where your horse is at. Because if we always have to work with where we're at, we need to always work where our horse is at. That doesn't mean where we want it to be, where we think it should be, or where it was yesterday. We need to check in and see where our horse is at, and that's where we work. And it's the same for me. So when I have students, it doesn't matter what they did yesterday. I work with where they are today, right here, right now, because that's all that matters. And of course, you never ask for more than you are willing to give. So this is a really powerful, powerful thing, because as humans, we have a tendency to always expect more of others than we expect of ourselves. And that is the fastest way to lose connection I can imagine. So you need to be the one that's willing to give. And what you're asking for has to be equivalent, not more, because it all starts with you. Now, we are going to be starting revision. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the class here. There's homework. So you're going to list 3 examples of human behavior and describe why that may be interpreted by the horse to be predatory. You are going to, as always, after every single class, you are going to list what your takeaways are from today's session. What did you learn about yourself today? And what can you apply moving forward based on what you learned today? And now you're going to use a video or a friend to help develop feeling versus thinking. So feeling what your horse is doing through the lead rope. Now this is a really cool exercise. So as long as you are focused on getting it right, you are in your head and not in your body. Remember that? Okay. You are to lead your horse walking directly in front of it. No sideways glances. Your eyes are to be focused forward. I want you to feel where and what your horse's head is doing, using the feel through your lead rope, as well as the feel within your body. Now, can you feel your horse from sensation changes in your back? As you walk, speak out loud as to what you feel your horse is doing. This is not a guess exercise or a thinking exercise. If you do not have a horse nearby, use another person. Put a dog leash around the wrist and lead the other person. Your sole goal here is to get yourself feeling and talk out loud to what you think is happening behind you. And this is being videoed. So now when you get to look at the video, you'll get to visually see, because now I want you to pull together that sensation and what it made you say, and was that correct? Because that sensation is correct, but maybe how you interpreted it was not. So now I want you to be able to link that sensation up to what was actually happening. So then when you do this again and you have that sensation, you know what it means. So that's what you're going to be saying out loud. So now I want you to play with this, because our goal here is to start getting you into your body and starting to really recognize feel. And at first, you may not always interpret what you're feeling, but as we start moving through this, you're going to get more and more accurate at interpreting it and bringing it forward. And remember, you may never have done this before. And so at first, you may think, I don't feel anything. But just keep practicing this and be patient, because it's going to happen. and you start to feel a lot. So when I'm walking and my horse is behind me and I have the lead rope and there's a big loop in it, it's not tight. I know when my horse moves its head, when it raises it, when it looks here or looks there, because the energy changes. And I feel it in the lead rope. I feel it in my body. And where this gets really important is because you want to be doing things with your horse, not to your horse. So if your horse stops to look at something and I don't recognize that there's been a change and I keep going, I'm going to end up pulling the lead rope tight. So, in many ways, that's akin to grabbing a kid by the hand and just dragging them along. And I'm quite sure you don't like that. And I'm quite sure nothing else does either. So when we get in tune, we just know when to pause. And then we know when to move because they start to move. And so that's how we start to look choreographed and like we're dancing. And to the outside world, it just looks magical. But that's where it all starts, where we start with feel and we start playing with that. And so that's your homework for this week. So anyhow, as always, thank you so much for joining in, sending you all great big hugs, and know that you're just perfect just the way you are. And when we check in next week, we're starting vision. And so that's going to be a pretty cool session. So bye-bye.